Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends mini comic wave 2, Daredevil. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember, now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today, let's continue looking at the Marvel Legends mini comic wave 2. As in front of us, we have the man without fear. It is, of course, Daredevil, and this is exactly how he looked running around the pages of Frank Miller's retelling of Daredevil's origin in 1993's 5-issue limited series, Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. And we actually get issue 1 as the mini comic. But even if you haven't read that, you might be familiar with this look, as this is the exact source material that was adapted for the Netflix series. And we see Matt Murdock running around in a very similar look. But this is based off the comic appearance, that John Romita Jr. art, which is a little bit clunky. That's why Daredevil looks a little bit thicker. We get some interchangeable hands, we get his stick, and of course the mini comic. So there he is, front and center. On the back, you get the other 6 figures, the comics, and the write-up that says, blind lawyer Matt Murdock rescues a young girl from Kingpin's thugs, completing his transformation into Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. And just like at the end of season 1 of the Netflix show, Daredevil gets his red costume at the end of this limited series. But until then, this is how he looked. Let's get him open. Here we have Daredevil then out of the packaging with his small assortment of accessories. We've got a couple of hands, his one white billy club fading away in the background, but I assure you it's there. And then we have the mini comic as well. And when I first saw this body, I thought maybe it was a little bit too thick. However, now I have it out of the packaging, it does just look like a generic guy in an all black baggy tracksuit. So I think this is going to have lots of potential for some head swaps, creating some generic goons, or maybe just any character you want to see in an all black tracksuit. He even has some nice trainers as well. So before we take a closer look, let me just get the tape measure out so we can see he stands at your very average 6.5 inches in height. So he's going to fit perfectly in to scale. And yeah, it is a completely pinless Marvel Legend, double jointed knees and elbows. And it does seem to have a nice articulation range considering how baggy the tracksuit could potentially be. So yeah, I'm curious to take a closer look, see how it moves. So without further ado, let's do that. So I'm going to assume we're all familiar to some degree with this sort of black bandana being pulled over the eyes and it covering the top portion of the head. And the figure does exactly that. As you can see, it wraps around on both sides. And it is sculpted as well. So you can sort of see the dimensions of something covering his eyes over his face, which is nicely done. And there is some wrinkles and some sculpted lines in that black. And they sort of get tighter as they reach the back. And then you can see the black bandana has these 2 sort of dangling pieces sticking out of the back, which don't hinder the articulation at all, which seems to be on a dumbbell, so you can get him looking up and looking down as well. But I do want to point, he has blonde hair. Now, a lot of us, myself included, don't associate Matt Murdock with blonde hair, but I skimmed through the pages of The Man Without Fear, and you definitely find panels where he has blonde hair. You also find panels where he has dark red hair, or just brown hair. So I'm just going to assume that the lighting was different from scene to scene, but this isn't inaccurate by any means. It's just not what we associate with Matt Murdock. So yeah, blonde hair for The Man Without Fear, but it's a very nice head sculpt. It does exactly what it should do. Looks good. If I'm being greedy, it would have been nice to have an option of maybe an angry expression as well for those battle poses, but I'll try plenty of head swaps in a moment. I just wanted to show you the hood piece is a separate piece. So you can see the drawstrings of the hood here. They dangle off the front, and then you can see the hood all bunched up at the back there. If I take the head off, you'll see that this is a separate piece that you can take off. It has a port on the back and a plug on the back, and there's even an additional point of articulation at the neck as well, so like a double dumbbell, and then that goes back over and it plugs in like so for our generic body. Then we add the Man Without Fear, so you get your tilt and your swivel and all of that, so plenty of articulation on the head. Now, before we show off the articulation on this guy, let me just show you that there is lots of sculpted work on the bagginess of the hoodie to give it a bit of dimension. You've got the double jointed pinless elbows, double jointed pinless knees, and then you get a look at his Tesco 2-stripe trainers fading away in the white background, but I assure you they are there. A bit of bunching at the bottom of the joggers. Do you guys in the US call this a sweatsuit, which is an ugly name, by the way? We call it a tracksuit. So it's an all black tracksuit. It's part of my daily attire, to be completely honest. Let's check out the articulation, shall we? So the arms go past 90. There's also a bicep swivel and a double jointed pinless elbow, which has great range. And then the butterfly joint, I've got high hopes for this. It's a little bit forward and back. Nothing crazy, but a little bit forward and back. And again, because the tracksuit's all black, it's sort of nicely hidden. And then you get the cut at the top of the diaphragm. So that's where you're going to get your tilt and your swivel. But there is also a swivel at the waist as well. So there's a swivel at the waist and at the ball joint at the diaphragm. So you get the double swivel, but this is where you're going to get your movement. So you get a little bit of back and a little bit of forward. So that's what you're going to get there for range. Moving down to the legs again, they are thick, but you do get the thigh cut up top. The legs go up to 90, and then you get a double jointed pinless knee. And can he kick his own back? Yes, he can, of course. So that's actually a pretty good range for him. And then you've got the ankle pivot and rocker. No boot swivel or anything like that, of course, but decent on the trainers. So yeah, you should be able to get this guy in some nice sort of leaping, battling poses for sure. Even with the thick tracksuit, they've done a decent job. In regards to accessories, the only actual set of hands he has, thankfully, are fisted hands, which should come as standard with all Marvel Legends, to be honest. But yes, he does have a set of fisted hands. We also get one gripping hand, which we get with all these mini comic figures, so they can actually hold the comic they come with. And then we also get a trigger finger hand. And we know Daredevil doesn't like using weaponry, but if you wanted to get him to hold a gun, you absolutely could with that hand. We also get an additional right hand, which we've seen straight out the box. It is just an open palm hand, a bit more expressive to help with those poses. He also has his sort of one billy club, or I suppose it's a blind man's stick. Let me put the blue background there so we can actually see. So yeah, there you go. He's got that one stick, which is a little bit longer than we usually get with the billy clubs. And it's also got this additional bit of string as well. So I guess you could hook it over his shoulder if you wanted to, but he will grip it with that holding hand, of course. Can we hook that over the hand? Yeah, we can. So you can hook that over the hand if you wanted to for whatever reason. And finally, this is a mini comic wave. So here we have the mini comic, which I believe is issue 1 of The Man Without Fear, part of that 5-issue limited series. I definitely encourage you to read it if you're a Daredevil fan. That Frank Miller story, that retelling of the origin, really nicely done. And as always, the prints on these are very nice. But again, it's a gimmick you either like or dislike. We get the Marvel logo on the back as well. And of course, Matt can hold it, but he can't see it, unfortunately. So I feel like this is a bit of discrimination, as this should have been a Braille edition, a Braille mini comic, if you will. Moving into comparisons, don't worry, I'm going to bring out all my Daredevils, but I just wanted to start off with this one, as a lot of people wanted this Daredevil in the mini comics wave to be a reissue or a second opportunity at getting this Daredevil that came in that free pack with White Elektra and Bullseye. As I agree, this version of Daredevil absolutely is worthy of a single release, but I think Hasbro are saving that for a future Secret Wars wave. And I'm not mad at getting a version of Daredevil that we have never had either. But this is the costume that he wears at the end, literally the last panel of The Man Without Fear. You can see him swinging away with the red costume. So yeah, these definitely pair up together very nicely. But we have a lot of Daredevils. Here we have a lot of Marvel Legend Daredevils, but I'm very aware it is not all of them. I can only fit so many on the table. Of course, I'm missing any of the yellow versions from the first appearance. I think it was the first Walgreens exclusive that then got re-released on the Avengers Grey card back from Marvel Unlimited. I'm also missing the most recent VHS version as well, with this sort of black cell shading. But I do have King Daredevil, 90s Daredevil, all new, all different Daredevil that looks very similar to Shadowlands, but technically it's not. Now we've got The Man Without Fear, we've got Daredevil from the 3-pack, Daredevil from the Defenders Amazon 4-pack, and then the very first single pack Daredevil, which was in the Ultimate Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure wave over a decade ago. So yeah, we've got a lot of options for our Daredevils, but which versions are we missing? Which ones do we still need in the Marvel Legends line? And which is your favourite? Let me know below. If for some reason you wanted the black half mask on this Daredevil, this is the most recent 3-pack version, the better articulation, then yes, it does fit on here, no problem at all. And I'll even put that head on this body, but the head proportionally looks a little bit too small, but it will fit on there. So yeah, you do have head swapping options for this bandana head sculpt for sure. Now I've brought in a couple of Matt Murdock's. One is obviously the MCU's Matt Murdock from the recent No Way Home wave. And then this is just a random comic one I put together. I think that's the Coulson body and I painted the tie red. And that's the head sculpt that came, I believe, with the Armored 90s Daredevil. But it could be a Cyclops head, I can't even remember. But anyway, Is there some type of way we can do some head swaps and create a good looking Daredevil? Let's find out. First, this head sculpt on the body, and you know what? It fits on the peg, but it is very loose. Like, look at that, very, very loose. But it has potential, doesn't it? Like a Matt Murdock head sculpt, it just makes more sense with the red hair, doesn't it? And the glasses. So yeah, as sort of a civilian Matt Murdock out on a jog, maybe you could get it to work. I also wanted to try this on a suited body. So again, this is the most recent pinless suited body from the No Way Home wave. And you know what? The head looks a little bit big, but he is wearing like a suit that's quite tight on the neck. So you could get it to work. So yeah, this could be sort of lawyer Matt Murdock running out the back of a courtroom, putting the bandana on and getting himself into some fight. So yeah, that fits on the peg much tighter as well. And yeah, that has some potential, doesn't it? But if you wanted to put the Matt Murdock head on this body, then this doesn't have potential. Scaling proportionately, it is just too small, unfortunately. It looks like a pea head on this body. So yeah, there's no movie head on this body, unfortunately, but you can put that head on the movie body. I tried. Some more live action comparisons. So I've got the first versions of the Netflix Daredevil and Punisher from that Man-Thing Build-A-Figure wave, I think 2017. So of course both of these are getting an upgrade this year for Daredevil Born Again. And I know what you're thinking, Dan always gets stuff early. I'm surprised he hasn't got them already. No, to be honest, you'd be right. You'd be absolutely right. I do have the Daredevil Born Again figure, and I will be reviewing that on the channel very soon. And people just love head swaps, don't they? So there we have the Man Without Fear head on the Netflix Daredevil body. And again, it looks pretty good. And then we have the Netflix head on this body, and it doesn't look so good. So just showing you. Now, my Tracksuit Mafia are under display, but of course we want to try some head swaps, mainly with this balaclava one to create a generic no-name thug. Let's do it. Happy to report, yes, it works. So the head does pop on the peg, no problem at all. It was a bit of a tight squeeze, but it works on the dumbbell, so you still get a range of articulation on there. And because he's got the long sort of neck balaclava, it covers it up, so he's wearing all black. And yeah, you can create a no-name thug. And now you can create your own generic goons with these all black tracksuits. Call them the Tesco two-stripe crew if you want. But yeah, the balaclavas absolutely can work on this head sculpt. There you go. Here's Maximum Spider-Man punching the goon in the face. Yeah, just generic goons. They can work with your other characters. No problem at all. Give them a kick. There you go. Sorted. And talking of generic goons, of course we need somebody for Daredevil to beat up as well. So here we have some hand ninjas. This one in the red, but I know we have them in the black as well. And does anybody remember the swoosh articulated icons? As I still have a couple of those ninjas, which always work as good fodder for your Marvel Legends. And yeah, they work well here too. So yeah, lots of ninja options for Matt Murdock to beat up. Now I think this is the suited body that came in the Mr. Negative Gamerverse 2-pack, so ignore the skin tone, but I know we had this body for the movie Logan as well, and it's just a thicker suited body that I wanted to try this head on. And yeah, it works if you wanted to do that. Here we have a couple of Captain Americas next to Daredevil, and if you remember, the 20th one came with an unmasked Steve Rogers head. Let's try it, and yeah, it pops on here as well. So if you want sort of like a training Steve Rogers with an all black tracksuit, you can still use the clip and pin as well on the wrists, no problem. And yeah, that fits on there at all. And there are honestly so many head swaps that you could do. I mean, it's impossible for me to do them all. So hit me up on Instagram if you want to see any more. But yeah, this body is very generic. Lots of heads will work. Have at it. Okay, one more because I'm curious, all right? My favourite Punisher is the one that came with Bushwhacker, and that is on the display. So instead, here's like one of the Walgreens ones, or I can't remember. Anyway, I want to try a Punisher head on this body, so I have the other head sculpt that came with that Bushwhacker 2-pack. Let's try this. And again, if you want an incognito civilian Punisher, just wearing a black tracksuit, then yes, the head that came in the Bushwhacker 2-packs, and the ones that come with that Nick Fury 2-pack soon, are going to work on this body. Moving on from head swaps, otherwise I'm going to be here all day. Instead, here we have the other figures I've reviewed in this mini comic wave 2 so far, with the Astonishing X-Men's Beast and Excalibur Rachel Summers Phoenix. Both reviews are on the channel, and there is always a playlist. Here we have a couple of bigger Marvel Legends. We have the Maximum Series Hulk and Onslaught, and I'm very self-aware the most relevant comparison to do with this would be Kingpin, as he is the main protagonist of that story. But he is so embedded in the display, just to get him, I'm knocking everybody over. And I refuse to do it anymore. So instead, just imagine Kingpin's here, okay? Now, obviously, the best representation of particular characters are on the display. They made it. So the recent 2-pack of Power Man and Iron Fist, that's on the display. So instead, here we have the Defenders 4-pack, but I've replaced Daredevil with the Man Without Fear. And then, of course, we've got Jessica Jones, aka Jewel, there as well, wearing all white. So now you can see her. So, yeah, still a very nice 4-pack, to be fair. And Daredevil still fits with these nicely. I was trying to find some street level goons that were accessible, so I've got Bushwhacker and then I have Typhoid Mary, but look at the actual warpage on her pinned legs. That's why we don't want pins anymore, because they don't hold the test of time and they just get warped and distorted. Pinless tech so far is holding strong. Again, time will tell on that one, but just structurally, the pinless tech looks better and acts better, at least compared to this jelly leg warpage. And we need a new Typhoid Mary. Here we have Daredevil and Hydra Bob. Here we have Black Widow and Spider-Man. That's the Renew Your Vows version, but if you'd prefer the Maximum series, there's him as well. And let's wrap up and get out of here. I've got things to do, people to see. Here we have Frogman, Jeff, and Tigra. And then last, but never least, we've got Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends mini comic Wave 2, Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. I honestly think it's a solid representation from the comic book page brought into plastic for our Marvel Legends collection, and at the end of the day, isn't that what we want on the shelf? It's got some reuse potential, there's some head swapping potential if you wanted to use that generic base body, but it does a great job of representing Matt Murdock, and it moves a lot more than you would think it does, considering how bulky he looks. Again, if I had to be picky, it would have been nice to get an alternative head with maybe an angry expression, as he does a lot of fighting in the comics, of course, but he still looks very good with what we get. You let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like Marvel Legends, you are in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. As always, there is a playlist with all the mini comic wave reviews. You can find me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.